Multistreaming.com, going live with Roseo Perez. So you stick around, we're going to move on to that right now. So right now we're going to talk to Roseo Perez. Are you there, Roseo?
I am here, Henry. It's always an honor and a privilege to be here with you. Always very exciting to be on your show, and the conversations that we have, they're so uplifting and inspiring. Thank you so much for having me here.
Okay, go ahead and tell us about yourself.
Tell you a little bit about myself. Well, I was born unstoppable, Henry. I'm well known for that. And ever since I was a little girl, I'd walk around and think that anything and everything was possible, and always fascinated with challenges in life, fascinated with the opportunity to create things for myself. And as I was growing up, I decided to take my life into my own hands at a very young age. At the age of 5, I knew that I wanted to become a teacher. By the time I was 7 years old, I was talking with my brother and talking about, what did you want to become? What do you want to become when you grow up? Fascinated by the idea of anything and everything being possible. I wanted to become a teacher and continue to talk about inspiring people. I left home at the age of 12. By the time I was 14, pregnant. 6th grade education. I had a baby by the time I was 15. Divorcing my parents at the age of 15. And really, truly living that unstoppable life. To know that anything and everything is possible as long as we're willing to put forth the effort. And I knew that I was willing to put forth the effort. I knew that my son, being born to a Latina, uneducated, menial labor, family didn't support her, nothing was going to be possible. Uneducated. I had a 6th grade education. What could I offer to this child? And that's where I began my journey and continued on my journey on how to be unstoppable. Not only was I leading the way, I was paving the way for many others to create their own paths, their own journey. I have had the privilege to work with individuals across the nation and around the world, and it's been extraordinary to see people from all walks of life own their unstoppable nature. Today, my son is 29 years old. In 2 weeks, he'll be 30 years old. I have a 5-year-old grandson, Emilio, who happens to be the love of my life. And I wrote this international best-selling book here, Henry, to help people understand how can you tap into your unstoppable nature. I believe that we were all born unstoppable. And the fact that we can take it into our own hands and say, hey, how do I own that? What are the things that I can do to really be there for myself? How can I hijack my mind? Because at the end of the day, our mind sometimes gets in the way of our own success. And that's what Unstoppable's here to share with others, to share the opportunity for them to move forward and become unstoppable. It's a step-by-step system.
That's really nice to hear, Rocio. I never get that right. You notice that? Miss R.
How many times did you get on the interview? I know that you have some people right there that are trying to enter the room as well.
Do you know them? I didn't invite them.
Oh, you didn't invite them? I invited them.
Do you want Martin to be in on it?
Yes, please.
Okay.
You are so much fun on there.
So Martin will be entering the broadcast here. Now, going back, we're going to train the trainer leadership, right? Train the trainer leadership. Mm-hmm. And what we're going to do, becoming unstoppable in the midst of chaos. We're going to talk about this. And, you know, you and I both, we move on and we don't let nothing pull us down because there's always a will and a way to do things. And kind of give us some thoughts on that. I mean, you're a speaker, and I call you an influencer. Influencers are people who go out and influence people. Every time they're around you, they're happy and they leave like, oh yeah, I can do this. Give us some thoughts on that.
Well, I think everything for me is really a decision. It is a decision that we make intentional. At every given point in time, it's like making a decision right now, like this moment, and making another decision this moment. It's a moment by moment decision on being unstoppable. How do I take control of my own life? A lot of people, life happens to them, and in reality, life happens because of us, right? It happens through us. It is based on our thoughts. Where are our thoughts? Whatever we're thinking, whatever we're feeling, whatever we're believing, we'll create our reality at the end of the day. If we're believing that we can do something, just like Henry Ford used to say, if you think you can and you think you can't, they're both right? You're both right on that, because you will start to create that reality for yourself. To me, being unstoppable is taking control of your life.
And we talk a lot about this all the time as we go about doing things here is, you know, being unstoppable. I didn't see Martin come through there, but that's okay. I said...
He's on there.
He's just watching invisibly.
He's just watching, invisible.
Well, being unstoppable is hard, and sometimes, you know, we're both in different types of areas here doing different things, but the same things, actually. And pushing a lot of different people to do great things. And so just from the shows, you've been on several shows here, and you've been on Charlie's show, on Paul Lane's show, been on my show and several others. Give our audience kind of an outlook on getting past this pandemic, about the politics that are involved with this. I'm sure you have something to say about this. And what's your outlook into the future of 2021 when, if Mr. Biden does take over the White House?
Most definitely. I think the most important thing anyone can do is decide, what do you want to be? At the end of the day, no matter what happens, right, whether it's presidential election, coronavirus, life, call it what you will. Whatever happens, happens, and we have the opportunity to decide how we will feel about it. How do I feel about it? Who will I be in this moment? Who do I choose to be powerfully? Am I going to be somebody that's completely defeated because we can't go anywhere or do anything in the time being? Or am I going to come out stronger? And for me, it's always been, I'm going to come out stronger. As a matter of fact, when coronavirus came around, I remember sharing with one of my team members, I said, you know what? We were built for hard times. Everything that we've ever worked on has been for hard times. And so it was very easy to make that transition as we were connecting with individuals from all over the world to have these forward-moving conversations on what to do, what to think, how to stay on point. As a matter of fact, I opened free and to the public a morning motivation call where people were actually coming on board 7 days a week. You could only imagine right there, people just needed something to hold on to, that very little bit of hope. And today, those individuals that have stayed with us throughout those calls have become amazing rock stars. They have better relationships, they have better outlooks. Some people have sold their homes, bought new homes. They're doing what they love to do, open up their businesses, really focusing, taking time for themselves. So irregardless of where we're at today, we get to choose where we take our life in the future.
Now, there's some other things that are going on, and they can't stop it. Like you and I, we have bright outlooks like that. But there's those who they start, arguing with their wives or husbands. It creates this other type of thing, because our studio is right next to a psychiatrist's office, and she says there's been a spike in people visiting her because of this type of feelings they get being housed up in the house by themselves, having to talk to each other. They start arguments, drinking, doing drugs, and all these other variables. Kind of give us an idea of what you think of that.
Well, I think that there's a lot of, for me in my experience, that there's a lot of information that we haven't communicated with our partners, which is what's called a withhold, prior to COVID. I don't like this about you, I don't like it about you, whatever that may be, Henry. So they don't like certain things and they haven't communicated that. COVID only brings it out. I know I have been on national interviews just even talking about domestic violence and how we've had such a spike in domestic violence, right? People are not used to being around each other, and most of the time we're just putting up with ourselves or putting up with others for the time being. And now we're face to face, and we can't run from where we're at. And how do we create that opportunity and say, hey, maybe it's time to start having those authentic conversations. Maybe it's time to be even more vulnerable and just sit down. Sometimes those conversations only last half an hour.
Mine only lasted 5 minutes. I was in the doghouse.
You were in the doghouse. You put yourself in the doghouse because that's where you knew you belonged at that moment.
Oh, I knew you were going to strike hard.
That's my spicy Latina side.
No, it's interesting as you say all this as we progress, and they say we're going to have a dark winter because of the COVID thing, and a lot of people are dying, losing their loved ones, and it's changing the complexity of this society. And they're making this society, because it's so complex, the more complex the society, the more complex the laws. And so now they're creating laws that if you're out without masks, if you're out without doing certain things, you can get fined, you can, I mean, they're doing things now all around the world. Give us your thought on that.
Well, I think that we're definitely a society based on fear. We would rather, we're always acting, anytime that we hear something negative, we're completely attentive to what's going on, as opposed to something that's going great. How many times do you see something on the news that's extraordinary and people are like, oh yes, that person did it, you know? We're much more willing, because of the way that we're wired as human beings, we're much more connected to negativity. And so therefore we're always looking for what's wrong, constantly what's wrong, and we gravitate to what's wrong. As a matter of fact, it's not until husband and wife, kid, whoever is in trouble that we're willing to take the time to connect with them, to really give them what they need when they need it. Why wait until then, right? So when we talk about coronavirus, here to answer your question, is what an opportunity for us to be able to connect and say, hey, how about we just let bygones be bygones? Let's go ahead and connect on an authentic level, have these conversations that move us together versus moving us apart. You know, take off that cape of ego, right? Because we're running around and holding on to whatever resentments we had in the past.
Well, I try to do that, you know, take off my cape, because I was running around the house with my towel and jumping off the couch.
Henry, I
think
always get on for that.
Did you get a picture? Did you get a picture? Or then I was jumping from couch to couch, not trying to fall into the alligator pit, and that was fun. I mean, we could do all kinds of fun things. Don't think I don't do that, you know. So.
I see that.
But there's all kinds of things you can do within the house and enjoy yourself and get out and about. If you have a you know, a greenway or a park or something like that, you can get out and about and kind of air out yourself, is what they call it. So you know, we talk about unstoppable in this chaos. Now there is chaos in the political arena big time, and this chaos, do you think it fuels the fear factor of the separation of Dems against Republicans? It's strange. There should never be no separation like that. Divide and conquer, it seems like. Tell us, give us your thought on that one.
Henry, I love your questions, always. My thoughts on that, we're one race, humans. We forgot about that. We think that we're supposed to be taking sides. You know, here's what I believe. Well, let me share something with you. At the end of the day, nothing has meaning except the meaning that we've given anything. There's 7 billion people in this world, and that we all have opinions about the way that things should be, whether politics or whether you're right, I'm wrong, whatever that may be. How about we just look at our humanity? What would life look like if we were to connect and see eye to eye and just forget about what's going on? I think for me right now, coronavirus, this election, life, it's a wake-up call. It's time to wake up. It's time to smell the roses. It's time to appreciate each other for our humanity and be able to connect with one another in ways that we have not been able to connect to.
Now, I want to know, Miss R.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's cool. It's got a ring to it. You know, you go out and do speaking engagements, and they're having to cancel a lot of this stuff. Now, has that had an effect on you in terms of, God, I can't go do all my fun stuff no more? You have to take a different turn? I mean, we're doing Zoom. It still comes out pretty well, but it's still not the up close and personal factor that you usually are so used to, being around lots of people, talking, enjoying, and sharing a lot of your thoughts. Give us a thought on that one.
Most definitely. Well, one thing that coronavirus has done is brought you and I together, right? Yeah. It had been, you were looking
I was after you. Hey, wait a minute. It wasn't just the coronavirus. No. I invited you a long time ago. You just didn't answer. Wow.
Interviews, right?
That just shows how I don't rate here as like, Jesus.
It's so fascinating, right? I think for me, definitely, one day it was a wake-up call. One day I was on top of stages, walking through airports, signing books and connecting with my friends all over. I was hosting anywhere and participating in anywhere from 40 to 50 events a week. And all of a sudden that disappears. I knew I needed something greater than myself. And what I needed was what I created for the public. When I opened up the calls, when I knew that I can provide hope for others, that's when it gave me that opportunity. I continue to do coaching, working with individuals and presenting across the nation as well through Zoom. We had to do a lot of our conferences through Zoom, everywhere, the keynotes, presentations, trainings, and so forth. The other thing that was new, it actually gave me an opportunity to look at things completely different. I was able to focus on my writing even more. I wrote a number of articles and posted them on LinkedIn. I was able to help people connect to their passion. I wouldn't have had that time. I typically wasn't doing the one-on-one work with individuals, and now it gave me an opportunity to do that. What it also gave me an opportunity to do was create a game that we're about to launch in 2 weeks. That's called the Mind Shift Game. How do we gain confidence? How do we gain courage in everything that we're doing? And also that vision, how do we stay focused on that vision? Because sometimes the vision's right here and we can't see it. To have sight doesn't mean that we have vision.
Now, Miss R, now you're saying having vision and all these different things. I know you, and I know what kind of person you are, and you're very adamant on what you do, but I know you get down on a few things where, oh, is this ever going to stop, this coronavirus? And I know that you almost sometimes lay there and think, I'm just going to give up. Wait, I'm not going to give up. I'm unstoppable. Give us your thought on that.
And I do have cameras in my place at home. I'm such a people person that being only able to connect with a few people has been very, very difficult. I have conversations with myself. I journal. I journal with ideas of what does it look like.
Do you blog?
Go ahead.
Do you blog?
I do not blog. You do not want to see my blogs.
On napkins, on scratch paper, on some of the mail. And
right.
I do that. Do you know I do that? I'll get some of the old mail that's just junk mail, and I'll scribble on it and get ideas, and I look at them. Yes, and that's how I go about doing it. I forget what I do with that envelope, and that's the way I sometimes do it. Otherwise, I just keep it in my head and brainstorm. And I'm wondering if you do the same kind of thing, brainstorm and then apply what you're doing.
Most definitely. I've been journaling for close to a decade. And every morning, getting up in the morning, who am I choosing to be? What am I grateful for in this moment? Or what could I be grateful for? I think a lot of the times we lose sight, right? We lose sight of our vision because we're not expressing gratitude. We don't know what's good, right? We think that, it's 100 things that are going bad, when in reality it's only 3. The fact that we're focused on those 3 is really what's creating our reality. So most definitely, there's times that I'm journaling to myself, and sometimes I do. I hit the wall. Like even
Yes.
I hit the wall. And I have conversations with even my coach. That's a person that I'm completely indebted to, that I can get on the phone and say, hey, what's going, help me, because this is where I'm at right now. I think if anyone has one investment in themselves, it must be a coach. I think it's so important to be a coach, to connect with a coach, because that person helps look inside of us where we can't see. We're blinded by what's in front of us.
Sometimes I never want nobody to look inside of me, Jesus.
It's any of it.
I knew you were going to say that. Oh my gosh, another one. That's 2 for you.
One.
That's 2 for you.
That's 2.
Okay, so I've got some more good questions. And, I couldn't wait to ask you some of these questions, but you said you only get 30 minutes, Henry. Anything less or more, that's it. We stop at 30. So
We'll skip a longer interview on there. I know. I love connecting with you.
I'll cram them all in there, but a lot of people talk to you, and I see you on a lot of different platforms with different people, and some connect with you real well, and you can feel the energy. Other times, no, and you just feel like, Jesus, that was just not a good interview, and I couldn't get what I wanted to say out because it went somewhere else. Give us your thought on that. I'm sure you've run into that, and especially with Zoom and all the different platforms, there's these other platforms that you can get on, and I'm sure you've run into this. And what do you do in this case? Just kind of overlook it and just proceed, or you think, I'm never getting on there again?
That's a very good question, right? Because I have a number of options. I can run away, I can continue the conversation, I can ignore it and pretend that, hey, this is what the interview is supposed to be about. In reality, I guide my own conversations. If I don't like the way where it's going, I will go ahead and guide my own conversation.
Yeah, you have to readjust it. You re-steer it, or move your rudder so the ship goes the right way.
Correct. And this is my interview. I'm a participant in this conversation. Life isn't happening to me. I'm part of this. I get to choose to also have a powerful conversation with the interviewer to make sure that I'm delivering the value that I know how to deliver for others.
If you just joined us, you're listening to KUHS Radio TV, streaming all around the world via YouTube, Twitter, via our website, and also Facebook Live. You're listening to Henry Archuleta, myself, and Miss R, Rocio Perez. Did I get that right?
You did.
Wow. I trained, I was ready. And you're my coach, you know what I mean?
You get a sticker.
A sticker, I wanted a sucker. And so becoming unstoppable in the midst of chaos. Now, there's a couple of other questions I wanted to ask you, and I'm sure that you've been approached with this before. A lot of things have happened to you in the past where you've done, let's not say a Zoom or none of the way we're doing it now, but you've been at a speaking engagement, and somebody approaches you and tries to take up your time and keeps, in to your face, and you want to just like kind of step away. What are your techniques to step away to go to somebody more interesting that you wanted to speak with at these engagements?
Well, that's a very good question, right? It depends on where I'm at, and it depends on the people that are there who may need the help, right? Is it somebody that's just looking to rant and rave about what's going on? If it is, it's always to say, hey, thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity to connect with you. I must leave. To politely excuse myself. There's no need to spend any more extra time, and it doesn't matter. And this is the way that I live my life, Henry. I will not sit down for even a cup of coffee with anyone. Okay, I've lived my life like that for many, many years.
It's because you don't drink coffee.
Bueno, tú sabes.
If you want to sit down, let's want to have a beer. Sure, let's do it.
Maybe not so much.
Want some wine? Let's go for dinner.
We're gonna be at a nice steakhouse.
See.
So I think when we value our time, when we start to value ourselves, and we're able to connect with ourselves, then we know who we can speak with, right? Is this person going to add value to my life? Am I going to add value to their life? If I'm not, let me not waste their time and let them not waste my time.
Can you do me a favor?
Dime.
In Spanish, can you do a station identification and who we both are, and say a little shout out to the world?
Okay, thank you so much. Bueno, aquí estamos en kvsdenver.com. Aquí estamos con el señor Henry Archuleta y la señorita Rocío. Es un gran placer de que esté todo el mundo aquí a través de Facebook y también de la plataforma online.
And there you heard it from Miss R. Now I'm going to ask you this other question because you said that in Spanish. How many engagements do you get in the Spanish language?
That is fascinating. I would say that 10% of my engagements are in Spanish. A lot of interviews, a lot of the TV interviews this year have been in Spanish.
Ooh, nice. Now, do you ever feel like sometimes when you're doing the interviews or some of the engagements in Spanish that you kind of go blank because you're now transforming into Spanish, from English to Spanish, and you're like, well, where was I at? Have you ever thought of...
I've had those moments, Henry. Okay, it's embarrassing. I've been with team members in a setting like this in live, and I'm comprehending 50% of the Spanish, and I'm answering something completely different. Okay, that's what I tell my team. I said, bring up a sticky note. Bring up a sticky note. Tell me what it is that I'm understanding and what I'm supposed to be answering when you know that I've gone off course, because sometimes I get so stuck in one way of thinking, or one language. So
that's pretty nice.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay, now a couple more questions, and we're getting close to time, but we have 10 minutes, and we could say a lot in 10 minutes. Now, when you now that you're in the pandemic kind of format of what you have to do and where you're going with your product and what you do, let me know in an unstoppable format how you're going about re-gauging yourself, redirecting your rudder for your ship to head a different route?
Well, most definitely. Now with the game, for me, it's my passion. My passion is to help individuals to touch, move, and inspire them in ways that they can express their passion, what's there for them. For me, it's the game. It's the game that we're transitioning into. We're creating online platforms as well for individuals to be able to learn from all over the world, in Espanol, in English, and in other languages to come as well.
Have on some of the platforms that you've come across, I know, a lot of different people who they've never really done this platform before. We've been at it 3 years, and I couldn't get everybody on it. They would look at me like I was crazy. And this is 3 years ago, before the pandemic. So
Right.
as everybody came on the Zoom platform, everybody's saying, I like this. This is really cool. They were trying to use FaceTime and all these other things to broadcast and bring them in on the big screen. And I had put Zoom in here, and they all started using Zoom. And now it's like mainstay for everybody. You've run across people who've used the Zoom product and all the other platforms who don't quite know how to use it. How do you, I mean, if you're on one, you like, I wish they'd conduct this a little bit better. Have you ever seen that?
Most definitely. I truly believe backgrounds are important to be able to communicate. I was on some online platforms recently where individuals don't even know how to communicate properly, right? They're using their street lingo.
Hey, what's up, girl? Hey, girl, hey, yo.
To call it nicely and really making mistakes left and right. Invest in yourself. Invest in yourself. Invest in speaking courses where individuals can help you connect and see what you're doing. I see a lot of people kids are flying on the back end, right?
I can hear somebody doing the dishes, and their husband walks by in his underwear.
Yes.
It's horrible. It's wild.
Take your time. Professionalism doesn't stop because there's a global pandemic. It does not stop.
And a lot of companies have cropped up to show people just how to utilize the Zoom product, how to do backgrounds, lighting, audio, compression, all the different variables that go along with it. Yeah, and then that beautiful picture you have back there looks like out there on the other side of the earth. Is that Italian? You're in Italy. See, you took me to Italy. That's nice.
I took you to Italy.
Now, one other thing, we had a gal here, Melissa Quesada. She got on, she's on the Black Entertainment Network, interviewing big names like In Vogue and a few others. And she, knows the background, knows the lighting. She did a fine job. And it comes a lot from what you just stated about background, lighting, audio, compressions, all that kind of thing. So it represents us really well. And so you're an asset to a lot of ladies, or like you say, some men won't take your suggestions, I'm sure. And have you, like when you do some sort of training, do you feel like men or women are easier to do the training with?
That's fascinating. It really depends. It really depends on the audience. I've had both men connect very well. I've had women connect very well. I've had sometimes that, I've walked into a room and, let's call it the way it is. Some people are, hey, yay, high five, she's here. And other people are like, I don't want to see her. and this is being quite honest. That's reality, right?
Well, with you, I have no problem with connecting with you and stuff. And I promised you I'd be real professional instead of joking and having a good time like I always do. But that's my way of running our ship. Our ship is happy. Our ship is humorous. Our ship is golden as far as I'm concerned. And we make sure and polish all our ends and everywhere we have it. Now, what suggestion would you give to our ship? I'm sure you've seen what we do, and you probably think, God, if I can just tell them to do this and do that and change this and change that. Come on, I know you're thinking, what would you do to help us change or to improve on what we're doing here?
Well, here's one quick tip.
Okay, thank you very much. No,
Yes, I love it. I love it, Henry. You're too much. But yeah, so one of the things that I would say is makeup. Henry, where's your makeup?
I put some on. You know what I forgot to do? I forgot to put on the lighting. I
The
didn't put
lighting
on
can
my
be really
lighting.
rough. Yes, lighting can be really, really rough, and it makes us look red. I remember 18 years ago when I started my media interviews, where they put me on Univision, and I remember Luis Canela who said, you know, honey, you look great, but the camera's not good, right? It's not, it doesn't do you any justice. And that was one of those things that I had to invest in, and taking the time to make sure that I do my makeup, touching myself, you know, go
Make
ahead
yourself
and
look
put
good,
some cover on. That's important.
You mentioned Luis. Paul Chavez said he's going to have him on here in 2 weeks.
Wow, so right around the same time that I'll be on with Paul Chavez as well.
Oh, yes, yes. So probably around the same, he's probably going to have you both on at the same time. I don't know.
Maybe.
So that's what's going on right now. So I don't know if he told you, but he always has all kinds of guests on. And Paul's been into the business for 40 years, so he's been around the block for some time. But he was our very last individual here that would not learn Zoom, would not get on Zoom. I finally shoved him on Zoom along with Greg Nieto of Channel 31, The Deuce. And they both got on Zoom at the same time. It was their first time both. And they enjoyed it. And it's like, yeah, this works.
Right, and it's an extraordinary tool. I have friends who are 85 years old and they're learning Zoom.
Are you talking about me? Don't you say nothing. That'll be your third strike. Okay, it's over. No, just kidding. I really enjoy having you on our shows, and this is really good because this Train the Trainer leadership show came out really nice. I really enjoyed it. I really am happy to have you on here and kind of share all your ideas, your thoughts with our audience and all those who are listening to us. You're listening to KUHSdenver.com. Rocio Perez, and can you say it in Spanish, another station identification?
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of Spanish-speaking people here, and I love them to hear you speak Spanish.
Do I need to use my radio voice?
No,
Estamos en
your TV voice.
my TV voice, gracias. Estamos en kuhsdenver.com. Estamos dando la cordialmente bienvenida y gracias a todos los que les están aquí uniendo en este momento. Estamos aquí con el señor Henry Archuleta y Rocío Pérez. Ha sido un gran placer de estar aquí con ustedes el día de hoy. And there you go.
Awesome. And don't forget to be watching on Bounce on regular TV. I think it's on channel 14.2. Melissa Quesada will be, I think they're going to use her clips for interviewing some of the big names on there, and as KUHS, because it'll say Melissa KUHS Denver. Also, Paul Chavez will be having you back on our station again and enjoying your beautiful delivery of messages, I would say. You've been doing such a fine job, and I always watch you on LinkedIn to see what you have to say. We used to do some lives there, and I'd get all inspired, and then by 20 minutes later, I'd get all, that didn't work. No, just kidding. Just kidding. Yeah, I came back to reality. Mm-hmm. So it's been nice having you, Miss R. I always enjoy, interviews with you and talking about all the different things that apply to what's going on in the world today. And with that being said, I'm going to say my last goodbyes. And if you have anything to say to the audience, give them some word of encouragement or something that you have to say before ending this show.
Definitely. Thank you so much. So, Unstoppable.
And can you say it in Spanish and talk about your book?
También te lo puedo decir en español. Unstoppable is a decision. Being unstoppable every morning. You just wake up every single morning and write down what you're grateful for. And also write down what does unstoppable mean to you. What are the type of actions that unstoppable takes every single day? In a very short period of time, you will discover that there's a lot of extraordinary things that you can do, and that unstoppable is a way of being. Le quiero dar las gracias a todo el mundo por estar aquí. Estamos hablando de ser imparable. El hecho de ser imparable es una decisión. Cuando nos despertamos cada mañana y damos gracias por todo lo que tenemos, agradecer todo que tenemos, y también de ver cómo puedo ser imparable. Si construyo una lista, puedo ser imparable así, y le sigue uno adelante. Entonces uno puede tener esa oportunidad de ser imparable en muy corto tiempo.
Y gracias a ti, and I'm going to thank you for being on the show. It was really a pleasure to have you on there. Your beautiful self and KUHSdenver.com. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And you could rewatch this up on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, or on our, well, it doesn't stay put in our website because there's so many shows going on through there. So, but on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, it stays put. Thank you again, Miss R.
Muchísimas gracias, Henry.
Y tú
Un
también.
gran placer.
Okay.
Gracias.
Bye bye.